Tell me about that.
Mother's friend was Mrs. Farrell. They were both Eastern Stars and belonged to the same chapter in Shillian. Mrs. Farrell taught chorus and band in what you call junior high school. And she had asked me, she said, I was already in chorus where you sung, and she said, Pat, I'd like for you to get an instrument and join the band. And I said, I can't. I knew we couldn't afford that, not with what we were doing. And so I just stayed in chorus, and we had different functions that I think we had an opera or operetta that all the students, performed on stage and did all this. And then there were other times that Mother had, well, she had it anyway. It was a little outfit, a little costume, and it was something that we did. I guess it was, I don't know, it was like a concert or what it was, but I tapped for them. I could tap dance all over the place. So I tapped for them on stage. That was one of the things that we did. But I was in the whole chorus too, in the operetta or ever what. We performed on stage, and sung like choruses do. Members sing, and that's what I did in junior high school.
So did they teach you tap, or had you already learned tap?
I knew how to tap from I was small.
Did you take lessons, or you just knew how to do that naturally?
I just knew natural how to do it.
Excellent. Okay, so continue your story.
Okay, then I went to high school. That was Shillian Junior High. Then I went to high school, my sophomore, junior, and senior years, okay? And I was going to, we had two buildings. The main building, everything else they taught, from English on, all the subjects. But in the other building, they had the chorus and home ec and the band, because you didn't have it in the main building. You had a walkway and you walked over to it every day. And I was going to go in chorus under Mrs. Taylor, who was a wonderful, wonderful person. And anyway, I decided I would first try, before I went in chorus, I was going to try out for band. I took Gene, my brother-in-law, Jerry's husband. He played trumpet in the band all the time he was in high school. And of course they were married and doing their thing, so they loaned me Gene's trumpet, and I tried out on his trumpet. And one of the young men, I call him a man now, but James Toller, also, he played baritone in junior high school. And anyway, when Mr. Fry was the band director, we were seated to try out for him, and he had us all in rows. And James told me, he says, now Pat, I know you don't read music, he said, but listen to what Mr. Fry, this music that he gives me, play it exactly like I do. And I was the trumpet player next. And I did. When he came to me, I played it just like James told me to. And then, of course, he had other students all the way that he tried out for band. So he was going to give me a uniform. Even though I was little and small, they were going to give me the one they had less. And anyway, because he had some small students. I don't think they were any smaller than me, but that had graduated earlier. And anyway, I was real happy. I was going to be in the band, the East Bank High School band. And we were coming back and forth from the walkway from one building to the other, and Mr. Fry stopped me. And he said, I'm sorry, Pat, but you have to give me the uniform back because I I can't. Anyway, he went on to tell me that one of the parents, she was in band at Shillian Junior High School under Miss Farrell, and she didn't make it. She didn't make band. And her parent came to Mr. Fry and told him that I couldn't read a note and I didn't know how to play. I mean, and that wasn't fair because Helen had been taking lessons and playing in the band in junior high school. So he took the uniform away from me and gave it to Helen. And I wasn't any longer in band. And so I got hurt real bad about that. And I told Mother when I went home, I said, well, it doesn't look like I'm going to be in band. And anyway, he stopped me again on the sidewalk, I guess the next day or when it was, and told me he didn't want to lose me from band. I said, I'm sorry, Mr. Fry, but my parents can't afford to buy an instrument for me. I said, that was my brother-in-law's trumpet. And I said, I can't be in band because, I said, I'm sorry, we just can't afford to. I said, no way. So I said, I'll go and see if Mrs. Taylor won't have me in chorus. And then he stopped me again one time and he said, he had a real old French horn. And I mean, it was something else. And he would let me play it if I would stay in band for him. Because he knew I could play anything I wanted to. He found out that I could. But he had already given Helen the uniform. So what I had to do, I had to attend every, because the field was quite a little distance away. And when they practiced in the afternoon, all afternoon, they had to walk, you had to march to the field and play, and I had to go with them. And then when we had like different things going on, that they would have, some of them would be dressed in a stage and all, I had to go do all that, help them. And that's what I did until summer. He said he would give me French horn lessons. So Mother would take me to East Bank, and he'd give me French horn lessons, which was a mess. And anyway, I already knew all my notes anyway from that. And anyway, so the next year I stayed in band. And later on, we had tryouts for regional. Now, regional means for us it meant the whole county. Any students that was in the high school that wanted to try out for regionals, and they had for the instruments, like for the brass and the trombones and the French horns, all of those instruments, they would have a trio of judges that were all band directors. And there was set dates that they would set, and what you would do, you would go and try out in front of them, your music and all, like that. So Harold was one Harold Webb in junior high that played the French horn, was very good and all, and he also was in the high school band with me. And anyway, Gwen was first chair. You always had people first chair, and she always helped me. And anyway, they decided that I should try out for regional on my old horn. And I mean, it was dilapidated. And anyway, I don't know where we didn't hold it there. They always held it at some high school or some in the area, ours would have been in Kanawha County because it was a big county. And So when we got there to try out, Harold was trying out on French horn, and I was trying out on French horn. I mean, there were students from every high school was trying out on French horn. You could, if you wanted to. And when it got to me, one of the judges says, "Whose French horn is this?" And I said, "Well, it's mine, but it belongs to the school." And he said, "You can't try out on that." He said, "Look at it." I said, "I know it's not in very good shape, but," I said, "that's the only thing I got to play." And he said, and Harold came up and he said, "Pat, try out on mine and use your mouthpiece." I said, "Are you sure, Harold?" He said, "Yes." I tried out. Later on, when they told all the band directors in the county which one students made it and which ones didn't, I made it. Harold didn't. And
Harold.
well, not him exactly. The one from Clendenin High School, the band director, his son tried out, and he didn't make it. And anyway, I made it. After that, Daddy and Mother tried their best to get one, and the person selling it at the shop should not have ever sold them what they did, because there's two kinds of French horns, and that one's outdated, and you have to. It depended on what you were in. If you were in, say, F major, or if you were in D major, the instrument, you had to change. There was one place in the horn that there were two tubes, and you had to change them. And they did away with that. And I really wished I could have gotten a hold of the person that sold it to him, because he knew it was the wrong kind to sell it.
But
Well,
that's what you got?
that's what I got.
And how long did you have that?
I still have it.
You still have it.
And
So how long did you end up playing the French horn? Just through high school?
no, I was at the Tidewater concert. Wait a minute, what was it called? Tidewater. Well, I was in the Tidewater, ever what we called it out here. It was the Tidewater Band, but that's not what they called it, for 9 years.
Oh, so you played it in junior high, high school? Did you play it in
Not
college?
junior high
Oh,
school.
Not junior high, okay. So high school, how about college?
In college, yes.
Okay.
I played in the West Virginia Tech Band all 4 years,
The French horn.
yes.
And then for the band here in Tidewater.
Well, I was in the Tidewater Community Band for 9 years, and then I had, I can't think of his name now, and his sons, they would go to a couple, not everybody, but there were a couple of different homes, and he'd say, "Pat, will you come and play the piano for us?" And so I would. I'd go with them and play the piano for them. It was like what I had Bunk in. I mean, you'd have different people come in like they do here, and and I'd go with them and play the piano for them. Before I came out here, though, I went to Clendenin High School and taught 1 year.
What did you teach? All
Chorus.
music?
Chorus.
Chorus, okay.
I had 102 in my high school chorus. And I had the biggest room on second floor, 2 doors down here and 1 up here. And they had one special group of children. I got them on Wednesdays. Wednesdays? Well, anyway, I got them 1 day a week, and they had a wonderful teacher, and she would walk them up to the second floor, because they get lost if they didn't, because they were all special children. And I would teach them. We had a lot of fun in that class. I think, because I would teach them all kinds of things. And I had them from, you wouldn't have thought that they were 14 or 15 years old, because we had this family that lived way out, and they rode the train in, bring the children in on the train, and then they get on the bus and come to Clinton High School. But they were all in special ed class. But they had a lot of fun in my class. I taught them a lot of different music that they could enjoy and things like that. And I was told that that was their favorite class. That's the only class that they were out of the classroom, was with me for music. And I've often wondered about them, because if any of them lived or whatever, because the one family that rode the train in, how do I put it? You would have loved to have taken every one of them and just taught them by themselves, if you could have, to teach them all you could about life or anything. That's how they just didn't exist almost. But I taught them the whole year, and I taught other things too. Once you sign a contract, they can get you to do anything, believe you. But I was under contract to teach the music to the course, and that's what I was doing, even though I had to teach 2 English classes to boot, and I didn't even minor in English.
Well, let's.
Well, let me finish this one.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
And so the junior high, what you would call the junior high kids, this was from 6th grade on through 12th grade there. And they went to the principal and said, why can't we have a chorus? And anyway, Dr. Irvin got with me and he said, is there any way in the world, Pat? I said, well, I'm already teaching 2 English classes and the special children and the chorus. I had a full load. And he said, can we add the junior high course? And I said, how? Well, in other words, I gave up eating lunch 2 days a week. And I had 65 in the junior high course. Well, when I had the high school, I had the junior high boys course. I had 14 young men that were loved to sing, and they were great. And I was supposed to teach the high school course, what you call a course group. And the band director said no, I could not teach them. And I found out later why. His son, when in regional, had tried out on French horn and didn't make it when I did. And so I was being punished not to have the high school choral men's group. Now, isn't that something?
That's a heck of a story.
But anyway, that's what happened. And I stayed at Clendenin the whole year. And beforehand, and we always exchanged, I don't know if it was my time to exchange choral groups. We also, over in one of the counties, we always exchanged one of them. Either we went or they came to us, every which one year after the other. And so before I said I wouldn't teach anymore, I asked, could I take my kids, my high school course, back to Tech, where I graduated from, to thank my whole music department for helping me out. Anyway, I took 2 buses. I couldn't take all of them, so I had 2 buses full of my high school course went with me, and we were in Little Tech Theater, and it was packed. Everybody and his brother came to hear us, and which was wonderful. And I said, I'm thanking Dr. Smars, I'm thanking Dr. The ones that were in the music department. Dr. Smars was head of the music department. He's the one that taught band. And the other Professor Bill, Dr. Bill, taught me, I guess you could say, to be a good piano player. I had to get up about every morning and go to the practice rooms and practice, make sure. And that's a long story within itself because I couldn't, I was with 5 of the men that were in band, and they called it, classroom music or something that you we're learning how, okay. And later on, I took them, and we stayed, and they did a beautiful job, really. And they got to eat in the cafeteria and everything, and then I took them home back to Clendenin. And we had also trials for high school courses for regional. And I don't know how many of mine made it, but we couldn't go. We didn't have money enough in the transportation to take them. But anyway, they knew they had tried out. But before I left, we went to college, and thanked my professors in my department. Dr. Axtell was the president. And they told me before I left, somebody came and said, Miss Thornton, you can't leave. Dr. Axtell wants to have a word with you. And I thought, oh, dear me. So I did. I went up to his office and sat down and talked to him. And he said, okay, Pat. He said, I can't remember how he put it, but anyway, he said, well, you know, Mr. So-and-so isn't going to be here next year, who had taken Mr. Bill's place his senior year. And the man had given me pure fits all year. He didn't like me, and he didn't like some of the other students that had graduated. And he made it known that he didn't like me. But I was in charge of the putting the music away and keeping it straight in the boys, for the men's and for mine. And then one day we were singing, and I could not get on pitch at all. And Donna was beside me, one of my friends, that we sang together, close together, in the girls' glee club. And anyway, he stopped us from singing, and I told Donna, before he stopped us, I couldn't get on pitch that day at all. I was lousy. I don't know why. I just had an off day of singing. Anyway, he stopped and he says, and I don't like how you're behaving, Miss Thornton. He said, you're making fun of Barbara at the piano. She was a junior. Oh, Lord, she could play anything you think of. Now, I said, I beg your pardon? He said, I want you to come back, and I'll tell you what classes that you have to come back, and apologize to Barbara for making fun of her at the piano in front of the whole chorus. And Donna looked at me, and I looked at Donna. I said, what did I do? She said, you didn't do anything. And anyway, this was what it was about, was how he treated me. I did no longer put the music away or anything, which was, I got paid for doing that, 50 cents an hour.
And this was, I'm still a little confused, is this while you were going to school?
It was while I was in college.
And how old were you while you were doing all of this chorus stuff?
Well, I was in chorus every year in college.
Okay, so like 18 to 22 or something like that?
I think I was almost 21, out of 21. And anyway, they had hired him to replace Professor Bill because they didn't tell me Professor Bill went back to Wisconsin. He had been there for a long time. He had taught me how to play music, how to do it. I mean, it was hard work, anything, and so forth. Anyway, they didn't tell me till I came back my senior year that he had left, because they knew I wouldn't come back my senior year if they knew it. I would have gone somewhere else. And this man took his place. who was a hellion. Let's put it that way, okay? And anyway, so I didn't keep the music for either the men's chorus or the women's. And he stopped me one day and he said, "And I don't like the way you let all the music just go." I said, "I beg your pardon?" I said, "But you fired me." I said, "It wasn't my place to put it away anymore for you." And I said, "Don't you remember you fired me?" And I walked out. And he couldn't say anything because he had told me now I couldn't keep it anymore. Well, I'll tell you this. I went back to apologize for Barbara. He called me back in one day, and we waited till Barbara came, and Barbara didn't come. And anyway, he said, "Well, she's not going to come today. We'll reschedule." So I said, "All right," and I left. Well, the other time, I had to go back. And I know where Barbara was. Barbara was sitting with her boyfriend outside on the steps. And I didn't say anything. I went ahead to his office, and he says, "Well, I can't understand why Barbara's not here." I says, "Well, I'm very sorry, mister. I can't answer for Barbara." But I said, "You know good and well I wasn't making fun of her." And I left. Barbara never did come. She said, "I know you weren't making fun of me, Pat." She said, "That's the reason I didn't come back. You didn't have to apologize to me." And anyway, like I said, he caused me all kinds of problems. And when I was a senior that year, anyway, you're supposed to have juries. Do you know what a jury is?
I do not.
You have to perform what your instrument is, and you get graded on it.
Okay.
And anyway, I lived in the dorm, and I said, "What do I do, Mom Sterrett?" And Mom Sterrett says, "I'm going to tell you one thing you're going to do. I'm going to do it." And she knew I was just heartbroken of all the stuff he was pulling on me. And so Mom Sterrett went to Dr. Smyers, and she told him what all this what he was trying to pull on me. And Dr. Smyers said, "Well, he can't do that. Pat has to have her juries, and we have a grand piano sitting in our in our lobby. You know, it was a great big room for people to come to bring their, students to college." And anyway, we arranged it, and they made me a program. Mildred Baxter sang on my program. You had to have somebody else do it before you actually did your part. And Angelo did his flute. And they played their part and everything, did a beautiful, and I had a lot of people there that came for the program. But you think Mr. Whatchamacallit came? He was supposed to be grading me. Anyway, I did mine.
He was supposed to be grading you?
Yes. And at the, I did all my stuff at the end on the piano like I was supposed to. And so I did my juries, and that was that. And I still have my program somewhere.
So that was at the end of your college?
It was toward the end, yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to wrap this up real quick because we only got another minute on this. So you went ahead and you graduated with what kind of degree?
It would have been I majored in music and minored in music.
Okay.
And
so it's a bachelor's degree in music?
Well, what do you call it? It's not a BS. It would be
BA?
I guess so.
Bachelor of Arts?
Anyway, that's what I had. But
And that was what school was that again?
West Virginia University of Technology.
Of Technology.
It's part of West Virginia University.
Oh, okay.
And anyway,
You only got 14 seconds.
oh, okay. Well, I went up to see Dr. Axtell like I said I would. And he offered me the man's job.